Good morning and welcome to Hobby Hangout with me, 40k Painter. Today I'm going to be using the airbrush again, and I'm going to be working on base layering of my Disciples of Tzeentch army for Age of Sigmar. So it's a really interesting army, some very interesting models. There's a lot of fine detail on them, most of which I'll end up using my brush for. But for the base layers at least, I'm going to be using my airbrush. Having had a few issues with the airbrush over the last week or so, I've spent a bit of time studying, asking for tips and advice on my Insta and YouTube channels. I've had some excellent advice given me by different people. So one of which is to pre-mix my paints in a separate pot. So I've done that here. So I'm going to be using the War Paints, the Army Painter War Paints range. I'm using Arctic Blue, Arctic Gem for this one, and I'm using their Speed Paint Medium. So hopefully we shouldn't have too many issues with blockages today. We'll have a few, no doubt, but shouldn't be too bad. So with that in mind, let's crack on. So these, as you can see, they've already been primed. I used a grey with a hint of blue for the primer. So I am currently using the Harder & Steenbeck Ultra 2024 airbrush, and I've got it set to setting 1. So let's see how this works. We can see straight away small amount of colour being built up, which is what we want. The other hint that I was given was to make sure that I push the trigger all the way forward before easing up, and that means that the air is coming out and blows out any paint residue. So you just see the colour building up slowly. And it's quite slow because I'm only on setting 1. But I'm being very careful not to drown the model in paint, because this is just meant to be a base layer. And my tissue is blowing everywhere. So let's move that out of the way. So building up a nice layer of colour on here. A little bit wet, I can see, but I'd rather it be a bit too wet than too dry and end up blocking everything again. Because I want to spend time painting rather than cleaning all the time. Make sure I get in the mouth. Okay, so that's not bad. Let me just put this away. Looking nice, even coverage, and this is a screamer of Tzeentch flies through the air. Got these really big, sharp, pointy teeth. So I'm quite happy with that. So let's put that out of the way and pick up the next one. So there's 3 of these in a unit. I've only got well, I picked up the Combat Patrol plus a couple of other little bits and pieces for this to have smaller skirmish games. So I've got about 1,000 points worth of cycles of Tzeentch for my army, for my game against my friends. Age of Sigmar is not my primary game, but I am looking forward to playing it. Primarily I'm going to be playing 40k, but we've decided we want to try a bit of everything. So I have from Firestorm Games predominantly. Firestorm Games is a really great hobby shop, so check them out. Nice discounts there. Or if you're in the area, there's another hobby shop in my local town called MIB Games. They're also very good and give you a good discount. So they're also online as well, MIB Games, so they're worth checking out. I've got quite a lot of useful advice from them as well. Okay, nice and quick. Put him up there. Call him a him, I don't really know. They're beasties, aren't they? So they may be hims, they may be hers, they may be neither. Who knows? But yeah, so we've got Age of Sigmar armies. Oh, I've run out of paint already. That's it. Okay, so let's just refill my paint hopper. We've got Kill Team. For Kill Team, I've actually got a couple of Kill Team armies, mainly because the Kill Team armies, or units rather, can be used in 40k in some cases. So I've got the Vested Stingwings, which will go in my Power army, and still in that area. I've got the Wrecker Crew. I quite like orcs, and I'm building up an orc army for 40k, so that's pretty cool. My daughter bought me some lovely orc models for Christmas, so I'm looking forward to assembling those in due time. And obviously with the Wrecker Crew, with the Brutal and Cunning box set, you also get Rattlings. So Rattlings can obviously go with your, and that's done. Okay, let me just wipe the spill up before it sticks, because I don't want to stain. Rattlings can go with your guard armies if you're building a guard army, so lots of versatility there. So next are going to be my Flamers of Tzeentch unit, and again these come in 3s. I've also looked into Necromunda, so we've all bought a Necromunda gang each. Mine is the Dillac gang. So we're going to be starting a campaign for those at the end of February, which I'm looking forward to. That's going to be fun. So my Dillac gang are all painted up and ready to go. Okay, so this going on nicely. And remember, this is only the base coat. This is gonna let these dry off before I move on to the next ones. What I like about the Disciples of Tzeentch is that they're just very, very pretty models, very detailed. Let's see how much detail you can see. But these flamers, you know, you can see their tongues coming out. You look into their mouth, you can see their teeth. Big, sharp, pointy claws that are bits of fire rather than actual claws. I mean, these are really pretty models. A lot of effort goes into making these. And I must say, I can't wait to play them. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Probably this mix is too wet, I would say. So maybe it needs a bit more paint to thicken it up. Little bit less of the medium, but as I said, going from my previous videos where I had endless trouble with one blockage after another, I'd rather it be too thin and have to put on multiple layers than have it too thick and keep spending most of my time cleaning the brushes, the airbrush. I think possibly one of the other things I could do at the moment, which I'll do after this, is reduce the air pressure so it doesn't come out quite so fast, maybe, and that will help. But as it stands, I'm quite happy with this. And we're getting a nice build up in the sort of the musculature, or it's not really musculature, but in the nooks and the crannies. Because this is living flame, then you actually do want it brighter in the areas where it's going to be hot, and it'll get darker towards the outsides. If you look at flame, fire is always the brightest at the base, in the center. So let's move on. So that's 6 done with no blockages in very short time. So my next models, now these are stunning. These are Skyfires, Zangor Skyfires. I just think these are beautiful models, and a lot of the detail on these will have to be done, for me anyway, using regular brushes, because there's no way I've got the skill or the fine control to get the detail of these done with the airbrush. But just look, and you got it's hard to say whether that's meant to be water spouts holding, or whether it's twisted plant sprouts or fire. So whatever, I guess you could paint them in a lot of different ways, but I'm doing a lot of these in various shades of blue to represent fire, or it could be taken as water, I guess, but Tzeentch isn't normal red fire. Tzeentch is more of a sort of a turquoisey blue, different shades of blue flames, so it's quite interesting. And again, this one are archery range shooting units, but they're not bad in melee, but these are elites, so they come in units of 3, same with the screamers and the flamers. And I just think they are beautiful. The detail, look at the detail on that bow, the way it's carved, it is just fantastic. So let's put this over here. And let's top up my paint hopper and get to work. And I must say that the wall paints, the Army Painter wall paints are really, really good. And I love these little bottles, you know, they're so easy to control how much paint you're putting in at a time. So, actually, do you know what I'm going to do before because I'm already covered in blue paint. Let's get the holder. So this little holder is from the Citadel range of tools. There's some really useful tools. Is it going to fit? Yes, it does. There. Kind of keeps my hand out of the way when I remember to use it, so I don't get so much paint on me. So let's make a start. And there's lots of little places for the paint to go in here. So I'm just giving lots of little bursts because A, I don't want to drown it, and B, as I said, this is just the first layer. So I just want to get a nice, good coverage, as best as I can anyway, of the different regions. And then later we'll go over it, create multiple different layers, different shades of blue. I've got some darker blues and some almost greens, which I'll use to create the depth and hopefully create a flickering sort of green paint flame color. So with all of these little edges and protrusions, this is actually proving quite tricky. So many little areas, so many little nooks and crannies to get into. Surprise actually how much more difficult this is. Okay, so I think I've got a good all-round bit more there coverage there. Not looking too bad for the first layer anyway. We'll see lots more to do. So let's take that off. Put that out of the way. Oh, and that's what I was going to do. I was going to just turn that down slightly. Okay, so number 2. And again, these are elites within the army. So they're in units of 3. If I can get the thing in. Does not want to go in. Okay, that's better. And to be fair, they do look pretty darn elite. The models are bigger than the standard infantry guys, the regular Zangors and the Carrick cultists, which will not be getting painted blue today. I'm going to be doing them because of those guys are mostly bare skin with bits of armor and like a kilt type thing. I'm going to be painting them. Their base layers are going to be the flesh tones. Which is going to be the primary colour for them anyway, so it makes sense to do the base layer in the flesh tones. Okay, getting the hang of these bits now. With that one much faster. Get inside that, bit tricky. Try to get the tips of the bow. And inside. Okay, the tree platform. If you can see writing on the base, you can see a label. One of my concerns was trying to remember which units are which, because there's so many of them that remembering them all with multiple armies across multiple game systems, I thought I would struggle. So I just made a label with the unit name on and stuck it onto the bottom of each model. That way I know straight away which model it is. Okay, that one is done much faster. So good. Last one of the sky fires. If I can get it onto the stand. There you go. Again, nice short controlled bursts so that not putting too much paint on each time, not drowning any particular areas, and just remembering that this is, after all, one of the things I have to remind myself, this is layer 1 of several, so don't need to power the paint on too much to begin with. Just need a nice good coverage. Hardest part is actually getting it into the little flower bud in the middle there, or I guess maybe water lily. It could be a water lily, and these could be a lily pad. I mean, the imagination is a wonderful thing, and you know, these could be whatever you want them to be, some kind of alien water lily. Who knows? And that's emptied that, but that's fine. I've got plenty of this blue paint left. Probably made too much actually, but we shall see now. The good thing is, even though I have made too much paint of this blue colour, because it's in these little bottles, it'll keep. So just, you know, add a little ball bearing in the bottom so you can give it a good shake. If you don't use it for a bit, but yeah, it will keep for quite a while. So it doesn't really matter if you make too much. You're not wasting it. Just trying to angle it so it goes into these gaps. It's quite tricky to get it into the gaps there. You can probably hear I'm a bit close with the brush, with the airbrush, because I'm trying to get it into those gaps and make sure I get coverage inside them. That's looking nice. I'm quite happy with that one. So that's the last of the Skyfires. So that's 9 models painted so far, which is extremely good going. And I'm very happy with the way that this is working out. So one last model to do in the blue colour, and that's this one. So I quite like this one, and I'm definitely going to try and make that look like waves, like surf. This is the Warlord for my army. This is the Exalted Magus on a disc of Tzeentch. It's even got, like you can see it, there's a little mouth with teeth in there. These are really bizarre, really strange models, which is, I guess, perfectly adapted for Tzeentch, the chaos god of change. So let's give this one a blast. Let's see if he will fit. He probably won't fit, actually. No. Okay, so let's give him a blast. I think turning down the air pressure earlier was a good idea, because it's coming out nicer. It's not looking as wet as it was. And it's just that little bit more even when I'm spraying it. So I think that was the right call. And I've got a good idea now for the thickness of the paint when I'm mixing it, which is important. And hope you're enjoying the video and learning from my trials and tribulations. Bonus points for anyone who gets the geek reference there. Hope this is proving to be helpful to you if you're learning about using airbrushing and model painting as well. And if so, please don't forget to add a like and a share. Any comments in the comments in the chat, any suggestions, any hints and tips for those of you who are more experienced that think I might benefit from, will be always grateful. Starting to run a little bit low on paint in the hopper now, but that's okay because we are almost done. A little bit. Let's do this side of the water spout. And then it'll be time to clear away the blue. And yeah, I'm quite pleased. This has gone really well. Got quite a productive sort of 30 minutes or so. Make sure I get all of the base of the disc. Hello, you. Missed you. And yeah, I am pretty happy with that. I think overall, my Magister and his disc is looking good. A little bit of a killed maybe. And we are done. So in a moment we will move on to the rest of the regular Zangors and the Carrick Acolyte. First of all, I need to clean away the paint and clean the airbrush up and have a cup of tea, because you can never have too many cups of tea. Yeah, safety reminder, never keep your cups of tea or your sandwiches near where you are, near your area where you are spraying paint, because you do not want to be spraying it onto your food and drink. I shall be back in just a few and drink my tea. So we are all good to go. So the models I'm going to be working on now is this here. Again, really detailed, and we're only going to be putting base layers on, same as before. So for these ones, again, I am using the Army Painter range, so Fanatic War Paints, and this one is Agate Skin. I want this to be slightly darker. I'm going to use a slightly lighter one later on, so put that out of the way. I've pre-mixed it already with the Flow Improver, again using the Army Painter diluter. So, and I've checked it and it looks pretty much the same kind of consistency as the others. So these models are Carrick Acolytes. They're part of the they're basic infantry grunts, basically. They're part of the Disciples of Tzeentch Spearhead, if you're into Age of Sigmar. think you can use these in Warhammer 40k in the Chaos, the 1000 Suns army as well. I'm not sure on that though. I haven't really played those. But they're really nice models. They've already been pre-primed. I primed them the other day using the Army Painter brush-on primer. So that's all done. So all I have to do now is put the paint in my hopper and start spraying. And hopefully the second half of the show is going to go just as well as the first half did. Give this a quick, and again I'm going to be using setting 1 on the airbrush. Give this a quick, yeah, looks like it's coming through. So yeah, you can just see a little bit of color coming through. We don't want too much because, like before I said, we don't want to drown these. So, oh, and the other thing I was going to do earlier, when I was doing the filming, that you're getting a lot of my hand and not much of the model, so raise the angle of the camera. Okay, so let's make a start. Might be a little bit too wet, I think. Yeah, a little bit too wet, so I'm gonna it is coming through and we're getting a bit of a build up, but not as well as it was with the blue. With that said, definitely coming through. I guess maybe because the flesh tone is a much lighter colour than the blue, so maybe harder to see on the... Maybe if I put it up to setting number 2, might make it a bit... Yeah, setting number 2 is definitely better for this colour. We can see that coming on there now quite nicely. Just get that right. Yeah, definitely not as good with my right hand as I am with my left hand. Okay. So it's definitely much harder to get through. And I would say that it is definitely too thin. And we are getting, you can see the layer of pink coming through. Just need to thicken it up for for the next model. So getting there slowly. And this is a good lesson for me, really, about making it too thin. It is going on, as you can see. We are getting the pink shade. I think maybe the grey colour of the primer is just too strong and overpowering. So it is just taking longer for this sort of flash colour to come through. Not even wearing anything on his feet, like bare feet, shoulder pad and a kilt, and that's pretty much it. So this initial light color will be great, and then go over it. And as you can see now, we've got a decent coverage there, I think. A few little areas where I need a bit more. Hand, back of his leg. Just in there behind the shield. Back of his hand. Okay, this is not too bad. It's not amazing. It's not too bad. This is just the base coat, so by the time I've gone over it with the darker layers, the flash layers, will look pretty cool. So let's put that out of the way. I'm going to use the last of what's in this paint hopper on the model, and then when it runs out, I'll thicken the mix. Already see colour is starting to come through. I'm getting a better hang of this now. And we're starting to look good. And a nice build up of paint. Not overly even coverage at the moment because of it's so wet, but that's okay. Just to fix that. Try to get the bottom of his feet, okay. but doesn't look too bad at all, given that that's the first layer. I've added a few more drops of paint to the mix, so it's a little bit thicker. So this should work a bit better now. Let's give it just a quick blast. Yeah, okay. Setting 1. Oh, spills really easily. Setting 1, if you please. So this big dude's got this huge axe, as you can see. I quite like these ones. I mean, I've already base coated what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 models in 45-ish minutes. So I wouldn't have been able to do that with a regular brush. So this does have some advantages. Speed is a big one. I mean, obviously I will be much slower once these are all base coated. I will be a lot slower when I'm painting more details. But the detail will be left for Sunday. So on Sunday, if you haven't seen them already, we do Painting Club. Painting Club is just our affectionate little name for it. But basically, a group of us get together. We go down to Firestorm Games in Bridgend, who very kindly give us a table. And we take some models and we sit together as a group and put the world to rights while brush painting. Can't use an airbrush in the store for obvious reasons, so we just do regular painting with a wet palette. So I use the wait for it, the Army Painter wet palette. It's very good, and I find it very helpful to paint with. That's another one done. So that's model number 14. And yeah, we all sit around, small group of us, we sit around, we chat while we're painting. We give each other advice on colour schemes, we help, you know, give suggestions on ways to paint or things to try. If we don't just do painting, depending on where we are in our process. Some of us will be doing building. I myself have built several models down there on some Sundays. So yeah, you want to check those videos, the Painting Club videos. They're worth looking at. Mostly it's just a group of old guys chatting while we're painting, and we're not chatting about anything important, just generally chit chat. But every now and then somebody says something intelligent. Usually not me. Excellent. Now this is one of my favourite of the Carrick acolytes, because he's got a vulture, which is this bird, this kind of like eagle vulture kind of bird. So I'm looking forward to doing the feathers on that. That does look an amazing model. Probably what I should have done is I should have painted it before I attached it to the dude. But hindsight is always a wonderful thing when you're a beginner. But I'm thinking that bird be some kind of purple burgundy kind of colour. I think that would go really nice. But what about you guys? What colours have you ever painted one of these? Have you done the Tzeentch? What colour did you use, or what colour would you suggest? I think this sort of light pink flesh with darker sort of six-pack, you can see very clear musculature there with his chest on the six-pack. So we'll be doing them later, as I said, with darker colours. What I think would go really well, excuse me, being the light pink, and then maybe sort of an off-white, an almost white colour for the kilt to provide a bit of contrast, and then the dark colours for the sword. I'm thinking gold for the sort of the beaks that they have. You see they got these spikes and things on beak-like things on their faces. That would be pretty cool, I think. And then this bird being a sort of a dark red, burgundy, purple kind of mix. Don't know. We shall see. So that's 6 of the acolytes done, 4 to go. This is my other favourite. So you can see he's holding a scroll. The disciples of Tzeentch are a very magic heavy army. Tzeentch being the lord of the chaos god, lord of change and god of magic. So his units have quite a lot of magic potential, and these guys, they can do a couple of spells. They can shoot. They can create like a bolt of magical fire, which they shoot out at ranged targets. But also, then, as long as this guy is alive and in the army, he can cast a spell which makes the magic fireball thing harder to resist, harder to save against. I think it gives it rend 1, which is in AOS terms roughly the same as AP1 in 40k, I think. But whatever happens, I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing with my pink little man. Because there's nothing like an unusual colour scheme to freak out your opponents. I just love the look of these models with all of their sort of bird-like characteristics, the feathers and their equipment, the spiky beak heads. You can probably see that better there. Spiky beaks on their faces. And their axes are kind of like, just imagine some big giant bird of prey. Very slowly but surely, we are getting nice coverage all over this model and the predecessors. ready to start doing the top layers. Almost out of paint in this one. Bit of hair stuck to it. Let's get you off there before you dry. So I'm just going to use the last of this paint, I think, on here. Just to finish him off. We are done, pretty much. Hopper is once again empty. So 2 models left, I believe. So that's 18 models done in about an hour. And again, it is only base painting, and we're not being particularly concerned about accuracy so much as we are more concerned, at least for this first base layer, with getting a good coverage, getting the model basically covered up with this, getting rid of the grey primer. So 2 left, and then we move on to the Zangors. So when we're talking about these acolytes, the cultists, what are they? Well, although they don't look it, they actually they start off as human cultists, and they basically act as sort of they act as a almost underground infiltrator type cult that live. They spend their lives worshipping Tzeentch, and as a reward then, when the battles start, when the armies of chaos invade the planet, they rise up, and for their reward they get turned into these pseudo birdmen creatures, and they gain a lot of knowledge and power during their cult years. They make a lot of sacrifices as well, obviously. Tzeentch doesn't give anything away for free. And some of them, like the scroll wielding guy that I showed earlier, they will take what's called the test of 9, which allows them to cast the extra spells. Now these guys are they wouldn't be considered elites. They are just regular dudes, but they have some, like I said, they have some nice abilities. They are stronger than the average human. They're faster and better reflexes, all that kind of stuff. Tougher. They can take a hit or two. They're nowhere near in the league of a space marine, but then it's not what they're for. And of course, there are no space marines in Age of Sigmar anyway. Sometimes they're known as arcanists, and sometimes they're referred to as chanters of change, after obviously Tzeentch being the Lord of Change. But I think they're fun, very thematic. I think they're just fun little models. And once these are done, I cannot wait to get them onto the battlefield and start playing with them. So that's 19 models done, 1 more left. See the the sort of the flesh tones building up quite nicely there. And there you can see an example of what I was talking about earlier. So many different models, trying to remember all of their names is very difficult. So labels on the bottom make it easier for me to remember what they're called, and will speed up decisions in game because I don't have to try and remember or look at the pictures to try and remember which models they are. Let's get the inside of the shield there. Shield on, bit more on the sword, bit more on his underpants, because he can't be going in with grey underpants. And there we go. So, my warlord, 9 elites, 10 acolytes built, and it's been roughly an hour. So next we have the unit of Zangors. So you can see detail on this. Very wicked looking sword. Scary looking heads. The big horns, the big pointy beaks. And these are gorgeous models, cloven hooved. I like these. So Zangors are beastmen. They're not even remotely human. They're abhuman, and they're made purely through the will of Tzeentch. Sometimes on a planet, an entire generation of expectant mothers will give birth to thousands of these, and they will rise up and claim the planet for Tzeentch. Often it will be in preparation ahead of an invasion by they're usually in Warhammer 40k. It would be the Thousand Sons, which is the Tzeentch faction. But these are truly hideous creatures that live for war. They're very intelligent, surprisingly, but they live for war. They're incredibly talented warriors, and they will basically decimate a standard human world without any kind of help. So, number 1, let's move him up here. And again, they have a multitude of different weapons and appearances. Their horns, their hair. Oh, and I'm out already. That went quick. Just refill my paint pot. Come in all kinds of colours and shapes and sizes, different equipment, depending on how they were formed, where they were formed. Some of them might be, for example, a ship of another race gets lost in the warp, and while they're in the warp, the mutagenic effects of the warp and the god Tzeentch affect them, and they transform from whatever their original species was into these at the will of Tzeentch. most of them, because of their natures, they live and die for combat. So most of them will have short, violent lives fighting in the armies of Tzeentch against whatever they're sent to fight and kill. But some of them do survive and progress, and the magic of Tzeentch can kind of elevate them to a higher level. So that's where we get the sky fires that I was painting earlier. There's also exalted Zango, which are kind of like the Elita version of this. Now the exalted Zango, I think, are more melee focused, whereas the sky fires, as you can guess from the model that I was painting earlier, and from the name itself, they are more ranged combatants. And whereas this unit of Zangos comes in a size of 10 beastmen, the Skyfires and the Exalted come in units of 3, because again they are elite warriors. Come on, let's get your underpants done. And overall, I'm extremely happy with how these are turning out and how much progress we're making on quite a short scale. Maybe potentially getting a bit of a blockage. Let's see. Turn that up a bit. Potentially getting a bit of a blockage forming. Nope, that is coming out nicely. Turn it back down. Oops. And drown the models. Really love to be able to do the kind of artwork that you see on other YouTube videos where they're just painting the most amazing patterns and small detail. But I've got a lot of work to do before I get anywhere near close to those kind of skill levels. A good example is Squidma. There's a fella called Squidma who is the most amazing artist. So check him out. His work is just fantastic. But then I've been doing this since the end of December, whereas he's been doing it for years. So, you know, gonna be a lot better than me, right? And this dude is double hard. He was probably born in Wales, probably a miner, probably got trapped down a pit in a cave-in or ventured too far into the underground and got transformed for his bravery. Because just look at that model, look at his sword. I mean, that's an incredible sword. Imagine someone looking like that, with a face like that, with horns like that, charging at you across a battlefield. I mean, you'd wet yourself, right? And not your laughter either. I mean, it would be absolutely terrifying. And just imagine this guy screaming as he comes charging at you. Wait, buddy, whose coat is that jacket? Which is probably a little bit. Which is probably a little bit of a cliche, to be honest, of the Welsh. But being as I am Welsh, born and bred, I can make those kind of jokes and cliches. This dude, I like his flag, his unit standard. It's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely a bit too wet still. But we're getting nice coverage for the base layer, so I'm happy. I can easily enough tidy this up with the other upper layers when I put those on. And so at the moment, just trying to get these covered with a very nice base layer prior to using the brush, because as you probably realized, I've assembled a lot of models for this. So this is pretty much the entire army, and I need to get them painted quickly. So the airbrush is the quickest way to get these layers on. You've already seen in earlier videos, I did a unit of pink horrors, I did a unit of blue horrors, and then a third unit of the brimstone horrors. So that's 30 models that have been done, and we're out of paint. So what I'm going to do is just thicken the paint slightly again in the mix. So this is looking quite good now. Just thickened it up slightly, and let's see how we get on. Ah yeah, that's better. Much better. The thing to remember is that when you're a novice painter like me, it's a learning curve, learning how to make the paint to the right consistency. If you're not buying the ready-made air paint, which you can do, there are lots of ready-made paints, but I also have a huge amount of standard paint for brushwork, because most of my stuff has been brushwork, to be honest, until now. And obviously paint isn't cheap, so you don't want to be wasting it or buying, you know, a regular paint and then the same color as an airbrush paint, because that's a huge amount of money you're going to end up spending. So plus, I guess learning how to mix the paint correctly is a good, valuable skill to gain anyway. Okay, so that is model number 7 of the Zangos. So, just 3 dudes left. And then, once these are done, it does feel like a blockage is coming. No, paint is coming out now. Is it? Yeah, paint is coming out, so let's keep going. Try that again. Yep. There's paint coming out. Okay, so maybe what I'm going to do is just give this a wipe. That's the medium. Right, this is the cleaner. Tissue. Brush. So let's take your brush, stick it in, give it a wipe. The important part is not to hit the tip of the needle with the hard part of the brush. You just want to clean it out. I'm just going to spray through air so no paint coming through. Get that cleaned out. Make sure that there's no paint cleaner in the tip of the airbrush, because you don't want that going on your model. And let's try again. And we've got paint flowing. Not a huge amount, but we got some. It's better. I've just drowned his face a little bit. Just blow some of that. His undergarments. Excellent. Number 8. Number 9 and number 10 left. And what I'll probably do later is do a zenithal layer with some white paint over the tops to get some highlighting before I do the rest of them. This is the final model, and this would bring the total, so individual models in my Disciples of Tzeentch army, up to 60, which I'm quite surprised at. There's 10 brimstone horrors, 10 blue horrors, 10 pink horrors, 10 Carrick cultists, and 10 of the Zangors, then 9 elites and 1 warlord. A lot of models to put on the table. I don't know how that compares to my friends who are also making theirs, but that is a lot of models. So there we have it. 30 models. 30 models given a base layer, just a plain base layer, no fancy stuff, in an hour and a half. That's, for me, that's exceptionally quick, and it's way faster than I could ever have hoped to have done them with the brush. So I'm quite pleased with that. The next question is, do I put these aside and do priming? I've got a lot of assembled models that need priming, or do I finish these models off? I don't know. Come back later for more. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and share, hit the notification bell. If you have any comments, any questions, any suggestions, please put them in the chat. As I said, I am a beginner. I am just still learning. Only been doing this for a few weeks. So thank you very much for watching, and I wish you a good day.